Hey everyone. Need to check. Do I need to do some final check in? You know what? But Friday evening. So I need final. I will all about why is this a ArchLinux calls. But just give me a sec. It doesn't need to click and just mission for phone. Damn it. So come. One dumb thing doing right that I'm basically connected via Wi-Fi. Not sure if that's okay. It's loaded. 3. Yeah, all of my filters need to go. How about now? How about now? Okay, the audio isn't skipping, but it does sound like shit, so... Okay, take 2. I can already see on the levels it's not great. Okay, how about now? 1, 2, 3, how about now? Oh, okay. This, and this. How about now? It's not perfect. Just give me a second. Yeah, I think this will be enough. This will be good enough. Yeah, sadly, this is so yeah. Why is this even unique? Okay, this can go. This I can close. So why is this even unique? Okay, so what I have done for this stream is I have connected my capture card to my desktop PC. That is connected to my laptop, which also has my camera connected, my camera setup. Hello, I'm DC Techie. And that is connected only by sheer strength of will to the internet via Wi-Fi. And all of that is done in order to show you how to install ArchLinux on an actual hardware. On my own desktop PC, which also has my day-to-day Windows installed. But also it has, many other drives, and it also has what I think is most interesting, some fairly decent and recent hardware. So I think I have like AMD, whatever CPU, and I have NVIDIA RTX 5070 Ti, some NVMe stuff, etc. So by no means this is like some legacy hardware or a VM. This is like a proper desktop PC. I think it might be interesting, given that, most often when people do those tutorials in a VM, they skip a bunch of stuff like BIOS settings and, UEFI, legacy boot, stuff like that. I want to say that early on, this is not a secure ArchLinux, like full secure ArchLinux tutorial. So I'll be changing some stuff. And this is mostly, the thing I'm doing is mostly because recently I got interested in gaming on Linux. And I was wondering whether can I play like games on my Linux system, and that Linux system being ArchLinux. To be honest, I am not, I don't really think it has to be Arch. It can be whatever Linux, whatever distro. It's just that I'm fairly convinced that, when the most recent hardware comes to mind, like NVIDIA RTX, it requires the most recent kernel, and I don't think that Ubuntu has the most recent kernel required by drivers. So, Arch naturally comes to mind. Also, hey, why not to start with Arch? But, if push comes to shove, then I probably, switch to Ubuntu or whatever. But I thought that, this is a nice occasion to revisit my old ArchLinux tutorial, my secure ArchLinux tutorial, and I will also be using my notes from the ArchLinux tutorial today when installing the system. So what else do I have prepared? Is that, my setup with the capture card and desktop PC, etc. I also have like Arch ISO flashed onto an USB, and that USB is inserted into a PC, and now you can see the menu. The problem I also have with the stream is that monitor you are seeing here is turned off, right? Everything I am seeing that's being outputted from the PC is on this small, OBS preview window on my laptop. So excuse me if I am not responding to chat messages, or if I'm like, taking a long time to view those chat messages. Sorry. But, some people asked me to, to go and revisit that tutorial I've done, like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And I thought that this might be a good occasion to do that. Okay, so I said this will not be a secure ArchLinux tutorial. What does that mean? It means that we will not be doing encrypted partition, and we will not be doing LVM. We'll be doing just a plain file system. The file system, I think we'll go with BTRFS. Many people have been asking me to do the tutorial I've done, but just use BTRFS instead of ext4. And, it's very easy. It's very easy to do that. But I think it might be nice to have it documented on stream. The reason we are not doing, and by the way, I might just, proceed so that the ISO is loaded. The reason we are not doing the encryption is that if we want to game on Linux, stuff like encryption adds performance, it takes a bit from your performance. to do the encryption. I/O basically is a little bit slower. It's not necessarily very, very slow, but you know, if you want to play games and quite possibly benchmark them, then yeah, that may affect that. Also, because I've already tried doing that and I've already gone into some hurdles, it's basically a pain in the ass to go through the LVM setup every time I want to reformat everything. Some people might say, hey, idiot, just use BTRFS snapshots or whatever. I have zero experience with those. Well, maybe not zero, because I have already tried some of that. But to be honest, I don't really know them by heart. And I've tried doing the snapshots the manual way, the BTRFS tools way. And it was a bit of pain in the ass, to the point where I was considering running a VM, or maybe just installing whatever plain Linux onto the PC and just doing a VM and passing through the NVIDIA GPU to it just to play a bit. But yeah, anyway, the ISO is loaded, and just so you know, those are the nodes I am using. I might just hide myself behind. This is from my GitHub page, github.com/ataraxia, secure arch. Sadly, the capital letter in my GitHub handle needs to be capital even in the URL. So don't try and, you know, be lazy and just write everything in small letters. Sadly, this is how it is. Those are the nodes I'll be using. If you want something explained, then, you know, just write in the chat, and I think we will manage. Okay, like I said, I can only see whatever I'm typing on the laptop screen. That's, you know, in this direction. So excuse me if I am not looking in the camera or I'm not using this monitor, because I am not using it. Okay, so step one. As you can see, I have a shitload of drives in my PC, like 3 NVMEs and 2 spinning plate HDDs. I have bought the NVMe drive. I have bought a NVMe drive specifically so I can install Arch on it. So that was basically a dedicated purchase. But now the question is, which one was it? Because it was a terabyte drive. As you can see, I have fucking 3 terabyte drives. So I will make this a little bit easier for myself. As you can see, only one of those drives has first partition that's sized for 512 megabytes. And this is basically a boot, or sorry, not boot, EFI partition that I am always sizing for 512 megs. So this is basically a cheat code for me to always know which drive I need to work on in order not to fuck everything up. So basically NVMe to N1, the one on the very bottom of the list, is the one drive I need to basically work on. By the way, just so I just, okay, so sorry, I'm still need to verify some things. I need to make sure that I have live chat. By the way, is my transmission, yeah, low latency? Cool, okay. Yeah. So, let's consult our guide. And the guide says, introduction, blah, blah, blah. There's a YouTube version of this tutorial, preparing the USB. We have the USB disk partitioning. So in this tutorial, I am basically configuring everything on top of LVM because I want full drive encryption. Like I said, here we will not be doing full drive encryption or any encryption at all. So we can skip almost all of that, though we do need the EFI partition, which we already have. What was the, I think, okay, gdisk. Okay, so gdisk dev nvme 2 and 1. So as you can see, we have EFI system partition and Linux file system. Perfect. Like I said, I have already done some stuff before. So, Jesus Christ, by the way, my girlfriend is texting me because she is out for tonight, so I do need to respond to those texts. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, drive is fine. We have to. I will delete the Linux file system we already have. I will also delete the first partition just so you can see me just so you can see me do everything. So write and quit. Yep, it's clean. So once more, just so you know everything, we will create the we will partition this drive. So like I said, we need two partitions. We need EFI partition and we need the Linux file system partition. Jesus. So N is short for new. By the way, just, you know, if you are in doubt, always read help, read manuals provided by the commands, stuff like that. I do it all the time because I cannot be bothered to remember everything. New, partition number 1. First sector, by default we press enter, and last sector we type plus 512 megs. Hex code. So EFI, I mean, you don't really have to do that, but you know, your motherboard BIOS may look more fondly upon you if you use proper codes, or may recognize stuff better. So for the EFI partition, the code is EF00, but you can also find that out if you know, press L to show all of the codes. Yep, EF00. And we have our first partition. So next one, just press enter. I want to use the full drive, and you know, the default 8300 is the Linux file system. So voila, write and quit, yes. Okay, so we are back to the starting point, but with a fresh partition table. So I already know that we want to make file system, and that file system will be for EFI partition. It needs to be fat, but I never remember the full command, so let me consult my docs. It's mkfs fat-f32, and then path to the partition. So fat f32 def nvme 2 and 1 p1 partition 1. It's done. Great. So while we are at it, we will also format our btrfs def nvme 2 and 1 p2. Okay, since only the partition table is fresh, all the data, because it wasn't properly deleted, is still there, so it's noticing the old partition metadata. So I will do that with the force option, and it's done. Perfect. So now we need to mount everything. So mount def nvme 2 n1 p2, our btrfs partition, into /mnt, and we will also create our EFI, and let me just consult the docs because keeping consistent with the path is important. Yep, boot EFI. And we will mount the def NVMe 2 and 1 P1 into MNT boot EFI. Perfect. Okay, so as far as storage goes, or file systems or whatever, we are prepared for actual system bootstrapping, which I think we will do now. So back to the notes. Pum pum pum. Oh yeah, so I've kind of updated those notes, and I do remember that some people already told me, "Why are you doing a YouTube tutorial, you fucking idiot? It will be outdated sooner than you think." Fuck you. It's not outdated. So at least not in the terms that would actually matter, because basically I think it's outdated in two places. So one place is, I don't know what the hell happened. ArchLinux changed something in the Arch ISO, and now Pacman needs to be initiated, the keyring for GPG, I think. And the other thing that changed is the Dracut, the default Dracut secure boot certificate and key path. So those are pretty much minor changes, because Dracut is, telling you when you're updating that, hey, this will be changed soon. Do change the location of those files, and the Pacman in it, I have no idea why that was done. It's just more inconvenient to do. So basically, I'm talking about, yeah, this. It seems Pacman now requires PGP shenanigans. So first of all, I had to execute those two commands. So let's do that. Oh, by the way, yeah. You might be wondering, but I do already have IP and internet and everything done, because the desktop PC is hooked up by Ethernet cable to my router, so DHCP stuff like that works, and I have internet access. So Pacman, Pacman key dash init, and Pacman key populate. So if you do not do those two, if you do not execute those two commands, basically Pacman will fail whenever it will try to download anything from the mirrors to bootstrap your system. Why is it working like that? I have no idea. Okay, so now for the good part. We need to packstrap our system. So packstrap to /mnt, because this is where our file systems are mounted. Base Linux firmware, AMD Ucode, because I have AMD processor, sudo vim dracut. I think I can do secure boot. So sb sign tools. IWD is for Wi-Fi. Get is for get. EFI boot manager is for managing the EFI entries, which actually comes in handy. Bin utils and DHCPCD. Oh, sorry. Actually, we will install that in a second, because I think I actually want to use systemd networkd. Sorry. Oh, not systemd networkd. The network manager. but I don't remember what package name was that. So, you know, if you are wondering, basically, I think I'll have to do 2 tutorials for YouTube that will be properly edited and recorded. The first one will be Secure ArchLinux Revisited. You know, just to go through it once again, and because, you know, it actually, that shit gets views. That shit actually clicks. After all that time, people love seeing ArchLinux being installed. And I think that the other one will have to be like gaming on ArchLinux. So basically, all that done the same, just without, you know, focusing on encryption and secure boot shenanigans and stuff like that. So yeah, our system is bootstrapped. Our system is basically installed. Sorry, I'm still just finicking with this laptop setup. So one other thing is that we can generate our fstab, just so we do not have to type everything by hand. Easy. And now we execute archroot into mnt, and voila, we are within our system. So I will set some passwords for root. We can already utilize pacman, so I want to definitely install manual pages. I want to install htop, and maybe that's it for now. By the way, just so you know, yes, this is my desktop PC. Oh shit. Shit, I'm sorry. Yeah, like 24 cores, 32 gigs of RAM. You know, all the nice things. And cat prots CPU info. Oh yeah, AMD Ryzen 9 7900X 12 core processor. So yeah, definitely not some bullshit. Anyway, so the system is bootstrap, but we still need to do some configuration before we reboot. We need to set our time zone, and have in mind that this will be fucked if you are dual booting with Windows if you do not edit some setting in the Windows registry, because by default Linux uses Unix timestamp or UTC and expects UTC time to be present in the hardware clock, while Windows saves local time to the hardware clock. So there are, you know, there are skews in the there are some skews. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. It's not 7 p.m. right now. It's 9 p.m. So it's like off by 2 hours. Exactly due to the reason I've just said. I may do that later, but just, you know, be aware that if you are also doing this on a dual boot or on a previously installed Windows setup, then, you know, you'll probably expect that every time you reboot from one system to the other. But like I said, this can be done or fixed if you just set one registry setting in Windows. Okay, Havu clock is like system to hardware clock. So now that I've done that, now the Windows will have the time the other way around. Actually, it will have the time the other way around after it synchronizes. After this Linux synchronizes, I think. Okay, anyway. I will set my system locale. Oops. Oh, I was not expecting that. Why is this gibberish? What the fuck? Have I like done an oopsie? Yeah, I am. Oh, fuck. Yeah. I've tabbed too many times. Ah, shit. etc. It was not local.gen. Like I said, this will be properly edited if a proper YouTube video comes out, so you will not have to deal with me. Local time. Shit. I think we can. I think because by default this should be like a file full of commented lines with locales, but I know I want the PL UTF-8 and I want EN-GB UTF-8. And for the love of God, I cannot remember what was the USA, the American English locale, but it might be needed later, but for now, just bad entry. Okay, so I probably wrote that down wrong. Need to quickly look that up. Oh, yes. So I think I know what I've done. What I've done bad. I've basically messed up the syntax. Yep, exactly. Perfect. Oh, hello. Hello, Arian. Like I said in the beginning, sorry if I'm not very quick to respond to chat messages. The setup is a bit complicated because I'm streaming from my laptop and I don't have a means to connect external monitors to my laptop for now, so I try to manage everything somehow. Okay. So now we have our locals generated. So now we need to configure our keyboard layout. And you know, if you are a lucky person that lives in the US or the UK or like I don't know any English-speaking country, then you probably don't have to do that. Or you can just go with either omit this step or just put any other value. But sadly, I live in Poland, and I have a Polish keyboard. And I want my Polish signs to work even in terminal. Okay, now the host name. So we'll call this WinStation Arch. WinStation because Windows, but I want everything to look nicely in my DHCP server address leases. Okay, so I think the basic bootstrapping is done, so we can user add the user. I am the bdrogo. I will add this user to the sudo. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using the specialized vsudo command to edit the sudo configuration file, and I am uncommenting the line where it says that anybody who's a member of wheel group should be able to execute sudo command with sudo privileges. On Ubuntu, this might, or on some other distros, this might not be called wheel. It might be called sudo group. Here it's just called wheel. So usermod ag wheel. So now I've just added my user to the wheel group. What would you be going with? So I'm basically installing ArchLinux on my desktop PC, and I'm using capture card to be able to capture the whole process that's connected to my laptop, and I'm streaming from my laptop. That's why everything is complicated. By the way, I haven't checked that, but I do hope that the quality is sufficient. And I don't think it is. No, oh, actually, it doesn't look so bad. Oh, you mean desktop environment? Oh, during my testing, I was going with GNOME because I thought that GNOME being mainstream will be best supported, especially with the current NVIDIA drivers, and gaming on Linux and stuff like that. But there is some funny shit going on whenever you install the NVIDIA driver and try to run GNOME desktop environment. Basically, it stops working. So I've also tested Sway, and Sway is like i3, and I'm running Sway on my laptop, and I basically like Sway. But it has some problems when you try to launch games from Steam. I mean, it can be done, but it is finicky. So I think I've read some forums, and they've said that they've tried successfully running the latest RTX NVIDIA cards with KDE, and I haven't tried that yet. So I think I'll go with KDE this time. I also have 3070 Ti with NVIDIA DKMS. It works fine most of the time. Yeah, exactly. I have also tried NVIDIA DKMS, but I think the challenge here is making everything run and work on the 50 series card. Because I think that, the 40, 30 series are pretty well known at this point. 50 series is the uncharted territory that is highly dependent on the latest kernel being installed, or the latest version of drivers being used. Yeah, I don't care about community, I just want it to work. To be honest, I hate every single one of Linux desktop environments. A very unpopular opinion, I know. Okay, so now the user is a part of sudo. So I can also, pacman minus sayo, and I just want to verify network manager. What was the package name for network manager? Oh, just network manager. LMAO, it works because of the community, though. More people mean more contributions. Network manager simply. Yeah, I mean, the problem with Linux graphical desktop environments is that there's so many of them, so they are like working to a varying degree. Some desktop environments have some features implemented that others don't, etc. I thought the GNOME would have the best support for Wayland, because I think NVIDIA has also like switched to Wayland support mostly, but with the X server and Wayland and stuff, it's so messy that Um, it's so weird because some games still require some X server bindings. I don't know, man. Just go with Hyperland and KD. I'm not a big fan of Hyperland. I've tried using it, and the problem with Hyperland is that it tries to be fancy i3 or Sway, but it has every single keybind mapped differently. While Sway keeps the i3 backwards compatibility when it comes to keybind, Hyperland, if I remember correctly, messes everything. I think that was the reason why I basically quite quickly said no thank you to Hyperland. Okay, do I need anything else? Yeah, okay, the window got weird. Okay, those are the unified kernel images. Yep. Okay, so now shit. Now the worst part. Now I have to type much stuff by hand. This is the part everybody hates. So now I will be doing my unified kernel image. USR local bin. Just I hope I will, because when I was doing test drive of this, I know I made a typo somewhere. And I couldn't boot the system up. So this is a part where most people make mistakes and then they start issues on GitHub. I mean, it's not a crime. It happens. USR lib modules. And this is another point where everything diverges a bit from the tutorial, because you can basically do like that, but some motherboards and some older UEFI firmwares require pretty much this EFI to be named, I think, boot x64 EFI. And if it's not named like that, it will basically not be recognized as a bootable binary, even if you make a EFI boot entry by hand. Which is irritating, but sadly, it's just one of those stupid things that are because they are like that, and there's no going way. It's no going around it. So phi Done. Is it? I don't think I have closed all of the. Yeah, exactly. I think I already see the error. Exactly. Why is it like double tab? Yeah, I just like this to look nice. Okay, so just let me just give it one quick glance. Yep, pkg base, boot EFI Linux, boot x64 EFI. Okay, think it's I think it's all right. Now drag cut, remove. RM, boot EFI Linux, boot x64 EFI. So now those scripts need to become executable. And now we will do our hooks for Pac-Man. And I know that some people may be scratching their heads, like, why am I doing this by hand? Because I am pretty sure there is a package called Dracket whatever, scripts or anything. When I was doing this secure ArchLinux tutorial, the goal was to show how everything works with as little magical do everything for you packages as possible, especially if you are like interested in doing fully encrypted system with unified kernel image, secure boot, etc., etc. You should know why anything is happening on your system, what scripts execute whatever is going on, especially with the kernel generation and kernel signing. So I basically, I've kind of gotten to like this approach. Pac-Man D hooks. Okay. And now for the removal. Okay, our hooks are done. So now for the kernel parameters. So this is basically a small hack I'm doing right now, just so I don't have to type everything by hand. Why is it formatted this way? Oh, yeah, I know why. Yeah, def NVMe and oh, by the way, I forgot LSBLK. Our root file system is located on NVMe 2 N1P2. So basically, BLK ID, UUID, O value, def NVMe 2 N1P2. So conf d. So this is UUID of our root file system partition, basically. So now kernel command line equals, and since we do not want, I need to look this up, kernel parameter fs. Yes, it was root equals UUID equals, and then exactly root fs type btrfs. This is one other place where people are making typos. This is not real time. This is la time, rel time, not real time. But yeah, this is our kernel parameter, and we also need flags for Dracut, so flags compress zstd and host only. No, basically host only is a magical option that encompasses a lot of things if I remember correctly. So now if we execute, by the way, boot EFI, there's like basically nothing in our EFI directory. Now if we execute this, our hooks should fire up properly and we should be getting our EFI image. So fuck me, I have definitely made some typo. Thankfully, it has given me a proper like error message instead of failing successfully with no message at all. Oh yeah, I know. Yes, I've forgotten the very first thing. MK. Okay, unexpected end of file while looking for matching. So I have also messed up with some of the quotes. I made a lot of typos while doing this to add to my boot entry. I had to boot from medium 3 times to fix it in one install. Yeah, I have gotten lazy, and I think I basically written it once and then put it on my HTTP server. So basically I can, whenever I'm doing, like I was doing testing and I was like reinstalling every 5 minutes, I basically was like downloading the file. So I didn't have to, write it down by hand, but just for the sake of the stream and tutorial, I'm basically doing this by hand. If the condition you have missed. Oh, I think I know where you are. Yep. Yep, thanks. You're absolutely right. Yep. Oh, yes. It actually executed and has built our EFI. So boot EFI Linux. It's there. And it takes, glorious 58 megs. So I think we could reboot now, but I need to verify one more thing. So FE boot manager will need to be modified. And that is because I have deleted and recreated my EFI partition. So I think it has a brand new unique identifier. So the last entry you see here, which is basically boot 002 ArchLinux, is basically a dead entry. So yeah, first entry is my Windows boot manager. Second entry is the USB that's the system with the Arch ISO installer. And first I need to delete that last one. Thankfully, this is also a part of my glorious notes. So EFI boot manager. Oh. Two. Oh yes, sorry. It's not minus O, it's EFI boot manager minus B2 minus big B. Exactly. Great. It has disappeared. So FEFI boot manager, create. And before you ask, I have already tried rebooting and just tried selecting the drive from my motherboard menu, and it doesn't recognize that this is a bootable option unless I add the entry via EFI boot manager by hand. Sadly, the UEFI differs from platform to platform. Some are better at it, some are worse. Create dev and VME2 and 1 T1 part. Oh, sorry. NVMe 2 and 1 partition 1 label ArchLinux loader. And I just need to move some windows around just so I see what I'm typing. Loader is EFI Linux boot x64 EFI Unicode. And yeah, I think it now has a proper partition ID. So this will be the moment of truth. And the thing I am worried about is that now I may not be able to see my BIOS properly, but I'll worry about that in a second. GGEFI boot manager. Yep. Yeah, group. Yeah, you know, to be honest, I have been running this laptop that I'm streaming from because it also has that ArchLinux installation and it also is dual booted for the past, I think, 4 or 5 years at this point, maybe 4. And even ever since I've done that ArchLinux installation, I have I have had no need to mess with either UEFI boot entries or anything like that. And group is bloat. Okay, this is the moment of truth. And don't be alarmed if you see if you see Windows booting, because that may happen. And shit, it's not seeing the Arch as a bootable option. So let me just enter setup real quick. Yep, verbatim. Boot manager. Okay. Yeah, so we will boot once again into our Arch ISO. Now this is just a matter of a lacking boot entry, and I've been through this before when I was doing my test run earlier. So this is something that I can fix, and I know that. It's weird though, because I've literally added that entry. Group for sure is bloat, but if I don't use it, where will my anime wife boot menu? You can do anime wife boot menu with this setup even. You can, because by default it will be having like ArchLinux flavor image. You can replace it with any image you want to. So you can still have your anime wife loading splash screen or whatever. If you Google like Dracut splash image, then I think the uh, first result will get you to wherever you need to go to change that. Okay, so once more. We don't even necessarily need to change into anything. Okay, so now we have 2 Windows boot managers, and the last one is our USB key. So let's try that again. This time not from within chroot. So EFI boot manager, create disk dev NVMe, and as you can see, the naming convention for the NVMe has changed. So this is why we do everything by unique identifiers and not the canonical names. Label, ArchLinux, loader, EFI, Linux, boot x64 EFI. Okay. And it's there. So once more, we reboot. No! No, shit. It has gone into Windows territory. That's not a problem. We will just reboot everything. By the way, this is a proof that you can dual boot everything. I have a working uh, Windows installation. Shit. I was hitting enter, I promise. I don't know why it didn't register that. Yep, welcome to Windows. I think the most irritating thing about, booting to a Windows is that it takes a shitload of time to restart, even though this is a fairly clean and, not heavy installation of Windows I have running. I'm hitting enter. Maybe I have... Fuck! Oh, okay. Maybe it's not enter, maybe it's F10 or F11. I can't tell because for me it's such a small font that... And I keep forgetting. Every server platform has their own approach. Once more. Yeah, it might have been F10 or F11. Takes such a... Oh shit! I was about to nag that it takes a long time to reboot, but... I almost skipped... Hooray! Great success. I mean, at least halfway. Now we will see whether it will actually boot. this is a great success. Oh shit. Okay, now we have a working ArchLinux installation. The problem is that back before, the font was readable for me, but now I literally have to go like this. Fuck. Okay, so, since this is a stream and, it's already been over an hour, I think. Am I right? Yeah, it's been over an hour. I am feeling tired, but you know what? I need to do one last thing, because this is a point where you can stop following me and now you can switch to whatever tutorial you want to that will tell you how to install your preferred graphical environment, because if you install, this is the moment where you can basically install any graphical environment, right? So GNOME, KDE, Sway, i3, whatever, right? Now you have a basic functional operating system without like any heavy dependencies installed into it. Well, maybe aside from Network Manager, but I think every major graphical interface like GNOME or KDE uses Network Manager anyway. So there's that. But aside from that, you have nothing else installed. Like no GPU drivers, no audio drivers. There haven't been any major decision set in stone. You can like do anything. And why am I saying that? This is important because if you want to screw around with your ArchLinux at this point and you have BTRFS, this might be a good moment to do a BTRFS snapshot. The problem is I am completely unfamiliar with BTRFS snapshots. Well, I have toyed with them once, and I have done that on the very basic level where I basically do that with BTRFS utilities on a very low level. So I've actually managed to do a full rootfs snapshot and then reverted back to it, and it worked. But supposedly there are easier ways of doing that, like, doing the time shift, time machine, or whatever, that basically can perform a snapshot and revert back to a snapshot with a single command. Hi, Joseph. Do you have any Linux certs? No. I have only my university education. I have engineering and master's degree in computer science. Welcome to Windows. I would totally ditch Windows if it weren't for my professors making me use some bullshit software. I have made a very unpopular opinion, but Windows isn't as bad when it comes to operating systems as people made it to be, in my opinion. Oh, I see, Jellyfin. You have NAS configuration. My guy, I have a single node Ceph server that hosts my definitely not anime that I can basically watch. Hi, Mike. Yeah. Oh man, the jellyfin is another thing entirely, because the jellyfin by itself is just jellyfin, but the storage I have hooked for under the jellyfin is a whole other story. I think I have I have a video on my YouTube channel that basically is about Ceph server, that it's literally that Ceph server being used as a storage that's hooked for jellyfin. So NAS, so to be honest, NAS kind of irritate me. They are not flexible enough. I mean, I don't want to buy 5 drives, I don't know, 5 terabyte each and splurge like $1,000. I would rather just use whatever I have on hand and build a Ceph cluster. I just use an application server with 8 terabytes for 11 euros. Application server with 8 terabytes. Is that like OVH or some sort, or Hertzner provider or whatever? I think you promised to legally obtain anime and movies to use on my Plex server. 1 second. Yes, I possess those Blu-rays. Yes, I know those are not anime. I think I have Hellsing Ultimate of OVA as a full Blu-ray, but that's in another room. Hosting by design VPS type. I didn't know that. My Jellyfin server is a 2016 MacBook with 1 TB HDD. Interesting. I was thinking about using something else for mm, for the for the SEF, basically something that I can basically put SSD into more easily because that old server is very old. I do have the hard drive enclosure. Basically, this black box over here has space for 2 full-sized HDD drives that can be hooked by USB 3 to whatever you want to. For more local storage, it's fast enough, but the main pro of that thing is that you can configure whatever you want on that. I think right now it has like 2 hard drives with BTRFS configured in RAID 1 configuration. So it basically has all the nice features such as copy on write and bitrot and periodic scanning and stuff like that. This is something that with NASes is not necessarily as easy to do. Here it's way easier. But no sudo on the VPS hosting by design. Interesting. So this is probably, I want to say, a container? Maybe? Hi, I used Hyperland on ArchLinux, but since some functions were missing and Chromium browser don't work very well on Wayland, I switched back to Windows, but I miss Hyperland. Any suggestion? Yeah, just use whatever you can that makes you comfortable and allows you to easily launch any programs you're using for work or anything. Like the graphical interfaces don't matter as long as you can fire up the programs you want to. Yeah, mostly containerized services. I was confusingly surprised when I found out that I think Hertzner has an option where it's like selling you not necessarily a VPS and not necessarily a container, an LXC container, which is like even like somewhere in between, the typical Docker containers and VMs, but it works. Hey, I just use my Jellyfin with ARRs, Comga, and for hosting my apps. To be honest, I haven't heard about any of those apps or services. I mostly just use Linux for work, so I mainly do like postfix and DNS and mails and monitoring and stuff like that. Ours are for metadata management of media. Oh, interesting. And Comga is for mangas. Oh, the metadata management of media is interesting. I like the one good feature of Jellyfin for me is that it can hook up to any AnyDB and basically try and come up with organization of your library and coming up with the metadata kind of on its own. I can have that htop open, and meanwhile, while we are chatting, I can look up the BTRFS time shift. How can I install and use that? I have mainly been very out of the loop when it comes to mangas. I do have some mangas I bought for myself. Most of the mangas I ever downloaded are saved on a hard drive that's 10 years old at this point. I mostly just read online. I'm a manga noob when it comes to that. What is this Arch install going to be used for? Hopefully for gaming. Hopefully. I mean, the other problem I run into is the fact that I don't necessarily have any graphical graphically heavy games that can be started on Linux just by this Steam alone without Wine or any stuff like that. I think the most graphically heavy game I have that's, supported by Steam is Talos Principle, which, to be honest, it's a good game and good looking game, but it's no Cyberpunk. Install the timeshift package and enable start your chosen cron scheduler. Timeshift is a tool originally created by... Oh yeah, I think I remember why I didn't really necessarily like the BTRFS snapshots, because they are heavily, like mostly heavily integrated with Grub. It is understandable why, but they definitely do not need Grub to, have basic functionality. So you know that, I think I will not be boring you with me reading timeshift or BTRFS snapshots now. I'll just go raw and install KDE. You gotta try Wukong though, peak game, I just finished it last month. It's another Souls-like. I would rather play more Persona. I've recently finished Persona 3 Reloaded. I mean, I have played Persona 3 almost when it came out, and the Reloaded was such a trip down memory lane. How's it going? I just switched to Hyperland from KDE on my main gaming Arch machine and love it. I don't know if I'll daily Hyperland, but still hope your install goes well. Hey, thanks. It's actually going well. We've actually installed Arch. Now we are at the point where we are basically one step away from graphical environment. So like I've said before, the only reason I am going with KDE is because I've had issues with GNOME, and I think I saw some people on level 1 forums saying that they successfully are running KDE, latest NVIDIA drivers, and RTX 50 series card, which I have. And by the way, we can definitely assume that the card is properly working, because that HDMI output you are seeing being captured is connected to the NVIDIA GPU right now. Because this is an installation that's being made on a proper desktop system, it's not a VM. Okay. Arch Linux KDE installation. So ArchWiki, tell me what magical command I need to install KDE. So in order to install KDE, you need to install desktop environment Plasma. So should I go with Plasma, Plasma or Plasma dash Meta? You should use ChatGPT and just have it give you the commands. I mean, up to this point. Oh, I wanted this to be more effective. Up to this point, I was writing the commands from my notes. Go with meta if you're going minimal. Actually, I don't really necessarily want minimal. I want the full bloat, just so it installs all of the things I might have not thought of, like audio, sound, etc. So Pacman as By the way, let's do. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have no DNS. Oh my god, what was the syntax for the resolve conf? Jesus, I am so empty-headed right now. Jeez. Yeah, name server. You should use my personal DNS server. I have Pi-hole. But I can't be bothered. Could not resolve. Interesting. Oh. Do I even have... Yeah, no shit. Systemctl enable now. What was the full name for the network manager systemd unit? Oh, it needs to be the proper capital letters. Yeah, and now it seems to be working fine. Yep. Exactly. Is Pi-hole the thing that does network-wide ad blocking? Yes, but more importantly, I am using it for the DHCP server, just so I have all of my DHCP leases, static assignments, and stuff like that neatly organized and packaged into a web UI. The ad blocking is a bonus, and most of the time it just needs to be outright disabled for some hosts. Sadly, but you know, convenience. Okay, Pacman as... Jesus, I know you want to, you know, I know you... Plasma, I know you just want to see that, that graphical interface. So bad. Jesus Christ, it's so small. There are 61 members in group Plasma. I just want the default. Two available. Yeah, FFmpeg sounds fine. Yeah, Jack 2 or Pipewire Jack. I want to go with default just to see whether it will fuck me in the ass. Yeah, fonts are okay. Qt backend. Thankfully, I have fairly decent internet. Apple Bumpcaster. Hi. By the way, if you are wondering why I have Apple AirPods in my ears, it's not because I'm listening to music. I am watching the Harry Potter at the TV that's running right now, just to have something playing. Okay, it seems that it installed. So do I need to do anything else in order to properly launch Plasma, or do I need to enable something for differences? So actually, the question is now, should I also install the NVIDIA DKMS? I think I do. I'll do it. Okay. So I guess I need to reboot. We'll see whether it will fire up on its own, because I know in GNOME you need to enable the GDM service. Okay, so I definitely need to enable some service. Just as with GNOME. Starting Plasma. Blah, blah, blah. Removed, blah, blah, blah. Or from the console. To start a Plasma, run. Okay, because GNOME came with its own login manager. By the way, sadly they do not tell you whether you need to run this as a root or not. I will assume that I do. USR lib plasma dbus run if needed USR bin start plasma Wayland. Can't open display. Okay, so this is probably, it should not be run as root. Great success. It works. So at this point, I wish I could, or maybe I can. Okay, this. At this point, I would say it's a good stopping point, and the reason for that is I would, in order for everything to, in order for me to stream, I want to say comfortably, I would need to switch to the other, to the desktop PC itself, and stream from there. Or, you know, maybe come up with some method that doesn't require me to basically look at my small laptop screen in order to see what the fuck is on that KDA desktop, because I have no idea what's written in this message. But thankfully we have achieved an Arch installation with a desktop environment that's rebootable. We've gone through all the hoops. It seems to be working fine. So I need to prepare for my other stream. Maybe I will be able to stream tomorrow. What I would like to do is I would like to prepare some BTRFS snapshots so I could easily, you know, jump back and forth if I mess anything up. And I will pre-install Steam and maybe some other games. Maybe I will buy some games. Actually, I need recommendations. I need recommendations for games that, if possible, are native to Linux, either native or are supported via Steam and are graphically demanding. So anything on Steam goes, and anything on GOG.com also goes. Something that's graphically demanding and natively run on Linux, because for now I would like to just skip the messing with Wine. I am interested in how Linux is doing when it comes to just mainstream, like maybe not mainstream, how when it comes to just layman's first Linux gaming experience, right? So installing Steam and just clicking play the game, or installing or downloading the game from GOG and just executing the file. Expedition 33, is Expedition 33 actually native or sorry, supported by Steam via Proton? Because to be honest, that game seems interesting. It has Persona-like mechanics. I have just finished Persona 3. I'm actually playing the Metaphor ReFantasio on my FreeBSD machine. In case you don't know, FreeBSD is PlayStation 5. And I was actually interested in Expedition 33. If Expedition 33 is working, then that would be swell. Because the point is, I need to basically stress my GPU as as hard as possible while playing some games and not just running Furmark. Almost every game I play is working with Proton, so I don't know what's native anymore besides something like Gmod, so I'm not helped, lol. Native, I mean, if you fire up Steam on Linux and you play, click the penguin icon or whatever it is, it shows you the games that it can run on Linux. Someone says it works. Most games without anti-cheat work as far as I've tried. Having Proton as wrapper is not technically native, I guess. Yeah, well, that's why I said that, it either by native I mean that it's just plug and play on Steam without like any extra steps, or on GOG, because GOG does have like Linux versions of games to the point where it has like Linux installer or just an executable binary. The point is to if I want to play on Steam, I want to just install Steam and run it from Steam. If I want to play game from GOG, then I just download game from GOG. For now, I want to skip the the extra steps being, if I want to play a game, then yes, you download it from Steam and then you run Wine and then you click the executable, blah blah blah, stuff like that. It's extremely funny to me how playing games from PS2, PS3 emulation on any hardware is way easier now than running most x86 PC games on different operating systems. Because recently I have tried to play Tales of the Abyss from the PlayStation 2, and it runs flawlessly on my Mac. It runs flawlessly on my desktop PC, and it runs flawlessly on my Linux laptop, which is extremely funny to me. I mean, meaning the game was made to be played on Linux or just be able to play with compatibility layers. Yeah, I mean, like I explained, Metro Last Light Redux is native maybe, but FPS, that's fine. I mean, like I said, if I can install Steam and play and click play and not worry about anything else, and I know I can do that with, for example, Talos Principle, then that's the thing that I'm interested in. Okay, you know, if you want to give me some suggestions, or maybe chat, or maybe something pops into your mind and you want to ask a question, I am available on Discord, and the Discord invite is in the video description or the transmission description, so you can always find me there. And yeah, I think that was a successful stream. It will be going public. I will not be privating this stream. I think the whole idea behind that was that people can, you know, find it later and watch it at their own leisure. And yeah, I think we've managed to do what we wanted to achieve. So with that, have a lovely Friday evening, and I hope I'll see you next time, hopefully tomorrow. Bye.